Hello student, I hope you are regularly practicing the accountancy. Today we are going to learn the tools of financial statement analysis as a part, that is ratio analysis. And ratio analysis is a process of computing, determining and presenting the relationship of related and interdependent items or group of items in the financial statement. It is an important technique for financial analysis. So why it is? Because it comparing the financial data. Ratio means it's comparing the two financial data for a accounting period or maybe different accounting period, and that's why it helps us to take the decision for the improvement or betterment of the company. The objective is to assess the earning capability, financial soundness, and operating efficiency of an enterprise. To simplify the accounting information to help the comparative statement. So it basically helps the in the decision making process for the company. Limitation, it ignore the qualitative factors because it's basically talking about the different data, different historical facts which is present in the financial statement. That's why qualitative factors are ignored. Lack of standard ratio, most of the cases you will find very few ratios are there where ideal ratio is given, but most of the cases ideal ratio is not given, standard ratio is not given. That's why you have to interpret your own, not having the standard one. Standard, comparing with the standard, you will not be able to take the decision that whether you are in right way or right path or wrong way. False result based or incorrect information, sometimes it is biased, presenting the financial data for the company in favor of the company. That's why it sometimes present the false information. Classification of ratios, it basically classified in four categories. One is liquidity ratio, another one is solvency ratio, third one is activity ratio, and finally profitability ratio. And each under each head there are different ratios. Are in the liquidity ratio we have current ratio and quick ratio. Under solvency ratio there are four ratios are there. One is debt equity ratio and proprietary ratio, assets total assets to debt ratio, and interest coverage ratio. Thereafter, activity ratio, this basically talk about the turnover. It is inventory turnover, trade receivable turnover, trade payables turnover, and working capital turnover ratio. Profitability ratio, we have gross profit ratio, operating profit ratio, operating ratio, operating profit ratio, net profit ratio, and return on investment. These are basically we have uh, 4, 4, 8, 8, and this is 4, that is 12, 14 ratio. You have to learn it under different categories. Now in detail we'll go for one by one, and first one is current ratio. It basically shows the short-term financial soundness of an organization. Higher the ratio means better capacity to meet the current obligation. You have current liabilities are there. If you have higher ratio, then you will be in a better position to meet your current obligation. Formula is basically the current assets by current liability, and it is expressed in terms of pure ratio. Pure means it is 1, 2 is to 1. This one part is, if you get it over here, I have shown the ideal ratio as given over here, that is 2 is to 1. This 1, when you put it in the right part, that 1, that is basically talks about the pure ratio. So pure ratio means your ratio all the time, your right side will be expressed as 1. It may come right part a left part as 2.5 is to 1, 3.75 is to 1. So right part will be in your ratio, it will come 1, and if it is, if you express in 1, it basically talks about the pure ratio. Okay, so the formula is current ratio is equal to current assets by current liability. Next part we have current assets. Current assets are basically, we have learned in the first chapter, different items in the balance sheet. So we have current investment. I am not taking long time over here, but because you already learn it, I am just putting over here all information, that just check it, that what are the current assets are there. It is current investment, inventory, excluding store, spares and loose tools, and trade receivable, cash and cash equivalent, and short-term loans and advance. These are the different items under current assets. Now we have current liability. Under current liability, we have short-term borrowings, trade payables, and other current liability and short-term. We'll go to the liquid ratio, asset test ratio, or quick ratio. It has three names are there. That's why it is given the acid test ratio, acid or quick. So it, how will get it? From the current assets, if you minus it inventory and prepaid expenses, then you will get quick assets or liquid assets, and that liquid assets can quickly get converted into cash to meet your current obligation. That's why it is called the liquid ratio or acid test ratio or quick ratio. So this is ideal ratio is 1:1, and the formula is quick assets or liquid assets divided by current liabilities. It is also expressed in terms of pure assets. So now quick assets is equal to inventory minus prepaid expenses and current. We have next one is debt equity ratio. Under debt equity ratio, it basically measures the long term financial position or soundness of the enterprise. In generally, lower the debt equity ratio, higher the degree of protection enjoyed by the lender. So if you have lower ratio, that will be good for the investor, because they will feel their debt or their investment is secured by the company, and that's what the information given. And ideal ratio is given 2:1, and formula is debt equity ratio is long term debt divided by shareholders fund. It is also expressed in terms of pure ratio. Now long term debt is equal to long term borrowings, that is debenture, mortgage, public deposit, or long term provision, that is included in the long term debt. And shareholders fund, as we know it, it is share capital plus reserve and total assets to debt ratio. It basically talks about the safety margin available to the lender in of long term debt. It measures the extent of to which the debt is being covered by the total assets. Now formula is total assets to debt ratio is equal to total assets by long term debt. Total assets, you already know it, this one, in the balance sheet, that is non current assets including tangible and intangible assets. Thereafter long term loans and advance, if it is there, then current assets, then current your non current investment, inventories, spare parts, trade receivable, cash and cash equivalent, short term loans and advance, current assets, other current assets, etc. All item included in the balance sheet asset side, that is total assets. Long term debt is equal to long term borrowings plus long term provision. So this is total assets to total assets to debt ratio. Formula is total assets by long term. Next one is proprietary ratio. This ratio is help us to assess the total assets have been financed by the proprietor. Higher the ratio, higher the safety margin for the lender and the creditors. So that means that how much the proprietor is invested their own money, own capital for into the business. That basically this ratio help us to measure. Now the formula is proprietary ratio is shareholders fund divided by total assets. It is expressed in fraction. Remember earlier we have learned it is in pure ratio right side one, but it will be fraction. Whatever it come, if it is come 2:3, you will be keep as it is. You need not convert it 1.5:1. So it will be expressed in terms of fraction, say 5/7. So 5:7. Now shareholders fund means share capital plus reserve and surplus, and or there is another party shareholders fund is equal to non-current assets plus working capital minus non-current liability. These all formulas you have to remember, note down, you have to practice again and again these formulas. Now working capital is equal to current assets by current liability. Interest coverage ratio, it basically shows the how many times interest charge are covered by the profit available to pay the interest. Higher the ratio, more secure the lender in respect of the payment of interest regularly. So if your interest is less, then obviously it will take more times. I mean, profit will be more available for the lender to repayment their interest in and time. That basically the investor looks that interest coverage ratio uh, by calculating by using the formula profit before interest and tax. It is also known as PBIT in short form, divided by long term interest on long term debt. So it is expressed in terms of time. So profit before interest and tax, or PBIT, divided by interest on long term debt. PBIT is equal to profit after tax plus interest. That is, now inventory turnover ratio. Inventory turnover ratio is how fast inventory is moving, generating the sales. Higher the ratio, more efficient management of inventory, and vice versa. That is the inventory turnover ratio. And formula is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. It is expressed in terms of times. That also you have to. Sometimes if cost of goods sold is not given, then inventory turnover ratio sometimes you can it is calculated on net sale also. But if cost of goods sold and net sale is given, we will be taking cost of goods sold to calculate the inventory turnover ratio. Now cost of goods sold is equal to opening stock plus net purchase plus direct expenses minus closing stock. It is learned in the previous class, that is class 11. Also the cost of goods sold is equal to revenue from operation minus gross profit. Average inventory is equal to opening inventory or opening stock plus closing stock or closing inventory divided by 2, that is average. We have trade receivable turnover ratio, that is debtors turnover ratio. It shows that how frequently you are collecting your due you are collecting from the debtors, from the customer. So higher the ratio indicate the debt are being collected more quickly. Formula is to calculate that net credit sale divided by average trade receivable. It is expressed in terms of time. Trade receivable means debtors plus bills receivable. Provision for doubtful debts is not included. Average trade receivable is equal to opening trade receivable plus closing trade receivable divided by 2. Creditors turnover ratio. It shows the number of times the creditors turnover in relation to the purchase. A high turnover ratio or short payment period shows the ability of less credit or early payment. Formula is net credit purchase divided by average trade payables. So this is the creditors turnover ratio or trade payable ratio. So it basically helps us to know that what credit facility you are getting from your supplier. Net payables means the creditors plus bills payable, and you have average trade payables is equal to opening trade payables plus closing trade payables. Working capital turnover ratio. This ratio shows the number of times working capital has been employed in the process of carrying on business. Higher this ratio, better efficiency in the utilization of the working capital. As you all know that working capital for the organization is very important. It is calculated as current assets minus current liability. Now working capital formula is revenue from operation, that is net sale divided by working capital. Working capital, as I discussed earlier, that current assets minus current liability is working capital. We have next ratio is gross profit ratio. It is basically shows the relationship between the gross profit and net sale. Higher the ratio, lower the cost of goods sold, and formula is gross profit by net sale into 100. We have learned in class 11 the repetition this one. So gross profit is equal to revenue from operation, that is net sale, minus cost of goods sold, COGS, that is gross profit. Cost of goods sold is equal to opening stock plus net purchase plus direct expenses minus closing stock. Another part is that COGS, that is cost of goods sold, is equal to cost of material consumed plus purchase of stock in trade plus change in inventory or finished goods. And WIP means work in progress, and stock in trade plus direct expenses. Change in inventory means closing stock minus opening stock. That is change in inventory. Now, if direct expenses not given, it is assumed to be nil. We will put 0 over here while we are calculating. So any figure, if you don't find it, any figure means you have to carefully observe it. If this figure is not available, then we will take it, that value is 0 while we are computing it. Operating ratio, next part is operating ratio. So this ratio calculated to assess the operational efficiency of the business. A decline in the current ratio is better because it means higher margin and more profit. So it basically to work out your margin of safety or profit margin is how much. So formula is operating ratio is equal to operating cost divided by net sale into 100 expressed in terms of percentage. Now operating cost is equal to COGS, that is cost of goods sold, plus operating expenses. Operating expenses means employee benefit expenses plus other expenses other than non-operating expenses. Sometimes you will call operating expenses is equal to selling and distribution expenses plus office and administrative expenses. These are operating expenses. So operating ratio is equal to operating cost divided by net sale into 100. Our next ratio is net operating profit ratio, and this objective is to compute the ratio to determine the operational efficiency of management. Formula is operating profit divided by net sale into 100, and operating profit is equal to net sale minus operating cost. Operating cost we have calculated earlier, that COGS plus operating expenses, that is operating cost. So net sale minus operating cost is equal to operating profit. Operating profit is equal to gross profit minus operating expenses, that is another way to calculate. Net profit ratio, obviously all the business organization, their main objective to look at the net profit. So net profit indicate the overall efficiency of the business. Higher the net profit ratio, better for the business. And formula is net profit by net sale into 100 expressed in terms of percentage. Net profit, that is profit after tax, is equal to gross profit plus other income minus other indirect expenses minus tax. Net profit also equal to the gross profit plus operating income minus non-operating expenses minus non-operating expenses. So I have given all this formula in class 11. If you look at the class 11 copy, you will find return on investment, that is the last ratio as per our syllabus. So it is basically to assess the overall performance of the enterprise. It measures how efficiently the resource entrusted to the business are used. So it is one of the another important formula to calculate the return on investment, how much you have invested against which how much return you are getting. So every investor, including the ordinary shareholder, they also interested to know that how the company is performing by looking at this ratio. So this formula we can calculate ROI, return on investment, is equal to profit before interest, tax and dividend divided by capital employed multiplied by 100. So the capital employed under liability approach, share capital, reserve and surplus plus long-term borrowings plus long-term provision. Assets approach, we have non-current assets plus non-current assets means tangible and intangible assets plus non-current investment plus long-term loans and advance plus working capital. Now there are two important parts you have to remember it. That is note 1, that non-operating assets do not form the part of capital employed. For example, non-trade investment, capital work in progress. It will not be included while we are calculating the capital employed. Interest on non-trade investment should not be deducted from the profit before tax dividend while we are calculating it. Now based on the above formula, we will solve some problem. Let's start with question number 1, where we will calculate the current ratio. The information given: the trade receivable, prepaid expenses, cash and cash equivalent, marketable security, land and building, bills payable, sundry creditors, debenture, inventory, expenses payable. So now from here, since current ratio formula is current assets and current liability, we need to identify which are the items are current assets and which items are current liability. So now we will be estimating that one. So current assets are basically bills receivable, prepaid expenses, cash and cash equivalent, marketable securities, and inventories. This constituting the current assets, value of the current assets. If we go on adding it, we will get rupees 4 lakhs as current assets. The same way, we will go for current liability. So identifying current liabilities are bills payable plus sundry creditors plus expenses payable, that is outstanding expenses. So if you take this value, will come 2 lakhs rupees, and the current ratio, therefore current assets by current liability, that is 4 lakhs by 2 lakhs equal to 2:1. So very simple this question. We'll go for solving some other question. In this question, working capital given rupees 1,80,000, total debt is given 3,90,000, long term debt 3 lakhs, and you have to calculate the current assets current ratio. And as we have total debt is given 3,90,000 and long term debt is 3 lakhs, so we have current liability is equal to total debt minus long term debt is equal to 3,90,000 minus 3 lakh equal to 90,000. So the information total debt means long term debt plus current liability. So from here we are finding the current liability. Now working capital, we know current assets minus current liability. So by putting the working capital value, we can get current assets equal to 2,70,000. So therefore current ratio is equal to current assets by current liability, that is 2,70,000 by 90,000 equal to 3:1. Now next question, the ratio of current assets is given 8,75,000 to current liability 3,50,000 is given 2.5:1. The firm wants to maintain current ratio 2:1 by purchasing the goods on credit. Compute the goods that should be purchased on credit. We have current assets is 8,75,000, current liability 3,50,000. Now the business is interested to maintain the current ratio is 2:1 by purchasing certain amount of goods on credit. So now we have to add, if you purchase goods on credit, it increase the current liability, that is creditors amount will increase. At the same time your stock value will increase. So that means the same amount of current assets and current liability will be increased. So I am assuming that that amount is X. So current liability will be increased by X and current assets also increasing by X, because as I discussed that the same amount of creditors will increase, and at the same times as you purchase goods your stock value will increase. So now current ratio is equal to current assets by current liability. We have current assets is given 8,75,000 by plus X divided by 3,50,000 plus X. It should be equal to 2:1 because new current ratio your organization wants to maintain 2:1. So by solving this one, we'll get the X equal to 1,75,000. So that is your the goods worth rupees 1,75,000 must be purchased on credit to maintain the current ratio 2:1. Next question, we'll solve another question, that is current ratio. Quick assets is given 1,50,000, inventory that is stock is 40,000, prepaid expenses 10,000, working capital given 1,20,000. We have to calculate the current ratio. So quick assets is equal to given 1,50,000, inventory given 40,000, prepaid expenses given 10,000. So from the quick assets, inventory and prepaid expenses, we can calculate current assets equal to quick assets plus inventory plus prepaid expenses. So that part amount will comes rupees 2 lakhs, that is current assets. Now working capital given current assets minus current liability. Current assets we got 2 lakhs. Working capital given in your question 1,20,000. So current liability therefore 80,000, and hence current ratio is equal to current assets by current liability, that is 2 lakhs by 80,000 equal to 2.5:1. We will calculate the liquid ratio, that is asset test ratio or quick ratio. So question is given working capital 3,60,000, total debt is given 7,80,000, long term debt 6 lakhs, inventory 1,80,000. So we'll calculate liquid ratio. So over here current liability is equal to total debt minus long term debt is equal to current liability, and then if you solve this you will get current liability 1,80,000. From here we'll calculate the current assets is equal to current liability plus working capital is equal to 1,80,000 plus 3,60,000 equal to 5,80,000. So current assets we have 5,80,000. Remember the formula over here, current assets is equal to current assets, that is working capital formula, current assets minus current liability. If you just interchange the side you will get it the current assets value 5,80,000, and quick assets now current assets minus stock, that is 3,60,000, and liquid asset ratio is equal to quick assets by current liability, which comes 3,60,000 by 1,80,000 equal to 2:1. We'll go solve another question. Current liability of a company is given 6 lakhs. Its current ratio is given 3:1. Liquid ratio is 1:1. Calculate the value of inventory. Now we have current ratio given. Current ratio is current assets by current liability 3:1. That is 3/1. And current assets therefore 3 into current liability. Just cross multiply. You will get 3 into CL. That is your current assets. Now current liability liquid ratio is equal to given liquid assets by current liability, which is given 1:1, and by solving this by cross multiplying we'll get liquid assets is equal to current liability. Now current liability is already given 6 lakhs, so therefore liquid assets also 6 lakhs. Now current assets equal to 3 into current liability, because we already got it over here, 3 into current liability. Current assets is equal to 3 into current liability, and if you take it this figure over here, then you will get the current assets now therefore 6 into 3, that is 18 lakhs. Now liquid assets is equal to current assets, as I discussed, that is 6 lakhs, and inventory therefore current assets minus liquid assets, that is 18 lakhs minus 6 lakhs equal to 12 lakhs. I hope you understood this one. Liquid assets is equal to current assets minus inventory, that is the formula given. If you look at the formula slide you will find it there, that liquid assets is equal to current assets minus inventory minus prepaid expenses. Since prepaid expenses not given, that's why we'll keep it that one is 0, and by solving this one we'll get inventory is equal to 12 lakhs. Moving on to the next question, we have current ratio is equal to 4:1, liquid assets liquid ratio is 2.5:1, inventory 6 lakhs. We have to calculate current liability, current assets, and liquid assets. So we'll just use the equation formula. Using formula we'll form the equation, that is current ratio is equal to current assets by current liability. This is 4:1 means 4/1, and from here we'll get current liability. If you cross multiply, current liability equal to current assets by 4, and similarly liquid assets is given, liquid assets by current liability 2.5:1, and from here current liability equal to liquid assets by 2.5, that is equation number 2. So solving equation 1 and 2 will get current assets by 4 equal to liquid assets by 2.5, and putting that one will cross multiplying current assets equal to 4 quick assets by 2.5. Again quick assets, we know quick assets is equal to current assets minus inventory as stock divided by 2.5. I hope you get this part, that this is the formula we will learn earlier, that quick assets is equal to current assets minus inventory as stock. So now by solving this one, we will have 4 CA into 4 into 6 lakhs equal to 2.5 CA, and by changing the side we will get 1.5 CA equal to 24 lakhs, and current assets therefore 24 lakhs by 1.5 equal to 16 lakhs, and liquid assets is equal to current assets minus inventory, that is 6 lakhs. If you minus it, you will get 10 lakhs liquid assets, and current liability by putting equation 1, that is CA by 4, that CA current assets is given 16 lakhs by 4, that is equal to 4 lakhs. That is your question number 22. Now moving on to the second question. Calculate debt equity ratio. Your equity share capital given 5 lakhs, general reserve 90 lakhs, accumulated profit 50 lakhs, 10% debenture 1,50,000, current liability is 1 lakhs. So from here we will have shareholders fund equal to share capital plus general reserve plus accumulated profit. And now from here we will get shareholders fund is equal to rupees 6,40,000, and long term debt is equal to 10% debenture, that also given 1,30,000. Debt equity ratio, therefore long term debt divided by shareholders fund, that is 1,30,000 by 6,40,000, will get debt equity ratio approximately 0.20 is to 1. That is pure ratio, that's why we will have to, right part we have to put it 1. So that is your debt equity ratio. Okay, move to the next question. Question number 40. Fixed assets, we have gross is given 8,40,000, current assets is given 3,50,000, accumulated depreciation 1,40,000, current liability is given 3 lakh, current liability 2,80,000, non-current assets is given 14 lakhs, and 10% long-term borrowings, that is given 4,20,000, long-term loans and advance is given 56,000. You have to remember this line because it is an assets. So this part you have to remember, and long-term provision is given 1,40,000. So now based on that we will solve this question. Now calculate debt equity ratio. Now we will have long-term debt is equal to long-term borrowings plus long-term provision, and we have long-term debt is equal to, we have 4,20,000, that is your long-term borrowings, that is debenture. Now plus long-term provision 1,40,000, so 4,20,000 plus 1,40,000 will come 5,60,000. That is your long-term debt. Now shareholders fund, we have total assets plus long-term debt. So total assets is basically, we have to go on adding the figure, that is the accumulated assets in gross. Fixed assets is given 8,40,000 minus 1,40,000 is your accumulated depreciation. We have current investment is 14,000, and we have long-term loans and advance, that is 5,60,000 as I said it before, and current assets that is given 3,50,000. So we have therefore shareholders fund is equal to 2,80,000. By taking all this figure we will get 2,80,000. So now debt equity ratio, long-term debt, that is 5,60,000 divided by 2,80,000, we will get 2:1. So that is your debt equity ratio for this question. Now move to the next question. Now we'll go for solving another question, that is shareholders fund is given 1,60,000 and total debt is given 3,60,000, current liability 40,000, and calculate the total assets to debt ratio. So that is another category of share ratio, total assets to debt ratio. Now total debt is equal to given 3,60,000, shareholders fund given 1,60,000, current liability 1,40,000. So now total assets is equal to total debt plus shareholders fund. We'll have the total assets. It is liability approach. Since we know it that the accounting equation is equal to total assets equal to capital plus other liabilities. So based on that information, we will be calculating total assets from the liability side, that is total assets plus shareholders fund. Shareholders fund means over here capital, and now based on that we will get total assets equal to 5,60,000, 5,20,000. Now long term debt is equal to total debt minus current liability. As we have done earlier, this formula we have used it. So now based on that we have long term debt is equal to 3,20,000. Now total debt formula will use it, total assets by long term debt, that is equal to 5,20,000 by 3,20,000, which is equal to 13:8. That is the total assets to debt ratio. It is expressed in fraction. I said it in the, it's not pure ratio, it is fraction form. Now we have another question with total assets to debt ratio. Total debt is given 12 lakhs, shareholders fund 2 lakhs, reserve and surplus 50,000, current assets is given 5 lakhs, working capital given 1 lakh. So now we have to calculate total assets to debt ratio. Now first we'll calculate working capital, total current assets minus current liability. We'll put it, the value working capital is given 1 lakh, current assets is given 5 lakhs. So based on that your current liability is equal to 4 lakhs. Now long term debt is equal to total debt minus current liability. Total debt is given 12 lakhs minus 4 lakhs is equal to 8 lakhs your long term debt. Now total assets is equal to, therefore, shareholders fund plus it's a liability approach. I said it before that shareholders fund plus total debt will have 14 lakhs, and total assets to debt ratio is equal to total assets by long term debt, that is 14 lakhs by 8 lakhs, which is equal to 1.75:1. Next question, from the following information calculate proprietary ratio. So now proprietary ratio is share capital given, you have reserve and surplus given, you have current assets given, non-current assets given, current assets given, and based on that we will calculate the proprietary ratio. Formula is shareholders fund by total assets. Now shareholders fund is equal to share capital plus reserve and surplus, and that amount we will put it here, 3 lakhs plus 1,80,000 reserve and surplus, that is 4,80,000, and total assets is equal to non-current assets plus current assets, which comes 13 lakhs 20,000 plus 6 lakhs, which 19 lakhs 20,000, and proprietary ratio therefore 4,80,000 divided by 19 lakhs 20,000, which comes 0.25:1. Another proprietary ratio from the calculation, question number 55. Your equity share capital is given 4,50,000, 10% preference share 3,20,000, reserve and surplus 65,000, creditors is 1,10,000, 9% debenture 3 lakhs, fixed assets given 7 lakhs, and total investment, trade investment is given 2,45,000, current assets is 3 lakhs. Now based on that we will find total assets, fixed assets plus trade investment or non-current investment plus current assets. We have 7 lakhs plus 2,45,000 plus 3 lakhs equal to 12,45,000 is your total assets. Now shareholders fund is equal to equity share capital plus 10% preference share capital plus reserve and surplus, which comes 8,35,000. So therefore proprietary ratio is equal to 8,35,000 divided by 2,45,000 equal to 0.67:1 approximately. We'll calculate the next question. From the next question, the interest, calculate the interest coverage ratio. Profit after tax is given 1,70,000, tax is given 30,000, long term fund is given 50,000. So we will be calculating the profit before interest and tax, that is equal to profit after tax plus interest, and that comes 2,50,000. I said it before that PBIT is equal to uh, PAT plus T plus I. So PAT is profit after tax, T means tax, I means interest or finance cost. Now interest coverage ratio is equal to PBIT by interest, that is 2,50,000 by 50,000, which comes your 5 times, that is interest coverage ratio. We solve one more question from the interest coverage ratio. We have equity share capital is given 1 lakh and 8% preference share capital is given 70,000, 10% debenture 50,000. Long term loan is given from the bank is 50,000. Interest on long term loan is given 5,000, and profit after tax is given 75,000. Tax is given 9,000. So now from here we'll calculate. Over here interesting part is there that the interest on long term loans from the bank is given, but the debenture part, that 10% interest on 50,000, this 5,000 is not given. So we have to calculate this part. So we are doing this part, that interest on 10% debenture is equal to 10% of 50,000 rupees 50,000, which comes 5,000, and therefore profit before interest and tax equal to profit after tax plus interest on debenture plus long term interest on long term loan from bank, so which comes your 94,000. So from here again we'll calculate the total interest amount is the interest on debenture as well as interest on long term loan from bank, which comes 5,000 plus 5,000 10,000, and by putting the value on the in the formula PBIT by interest 94,000 divided by 10 lakhs, which comes 9.4 times your interest coverage ratio. I hope you understand. Will be little fast over here, but then if you go on reviewing or you just replay it, you will get it understood. It's based on formula only. So now we'll go for another question. Calculate inventory turnover ratio. From that, so we are moving to turnover ratio now. uh, Opening inventory is given 50,000, purchase is given 3,90,000, and revenue from operation, that is net sale, is given 6 lakhs. Gross profit is given 30%. From here we'll calculate. Now cost of goods sold is equal to net sale minus gross profit. Net sale is equal to given 6 lakhs minus 30% of 6 lakhs, because gross profit always calculate on the net sale. So we'll calculate it this one. By calculating this one we'll get the cost of goods sold is equal to 4,20,000. Now cost of goods sold is equal to opening inventory plus purchase minus closing inventory plus direct expenses. Since direct expenses not given, we get it 0 over here. So we'll calculate the cost of goods sold is equal to the 4,20,000 is equal to 50,000 is opening inventory plus net purchase is given 3,90,000 minus closing inventory. So closing inventory will therefore 20,000. By solving this one we'll get 20,000. Now average stock is equal to opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2. Now opening stock we have 50,000 plus 20,000 by 2 is equal to 35,000. Inventory turnover, therefore cost of goods sold divided by average stock, that is 4,20,000 divided by 35,000, will get over here 12 times, that is inventory turnover ratio. We have next question again on inventory turnover ratio. Revenue from operation given 4 lakhs, gross profit is given 1 lakhs, closing inventory is given 1 lakh 20,000. Excess of closing inventory over opening inventory is 40,000. That means your closing inventory is higher. So you have to just go on uh, excess of closing inventory over opening inventory. Yes. So your opening inventory, therefore you have to minus it 1,20,000 minus 40,000, that is 80,000 your opening inventory. So calculate the inventory turnover ratio. Sales is given 4 lakhs, so gross profit 1 lakh, so therefore cost of goods sold is equal to sales minus gross profit is equal to 3 lakhs. Now let opening inventory is equal to x closing inventory, therefore x plus 40,000. By putting this value, we will get the opening inventory is equal to 80,000, as I discussed in before. Since question is given hint that excess of closing inventory over opening inventory by 40,000. So just 40,000 you have to minus it from the closing inventory. So now average stock is equal to opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2, and by putting this one we'll get average stock is equal to 1 lakh, and then inventory turnover is equal to COGS, that is cost of goods sold, by average stock, that is 3 lakhs divided by 1 lakh is equal to 3 times. From the following information, determine the opening and closing inventory. It is inventory turnover ratio, but then question is you have to calculate the opening and closing inventory. Inventory turnover ratio is given 5 times, total sale is given 2 lakhs, gross profit is given 25%, closing inventory is more by 4,000 than the opening inventory. So now sales is equal to 3 lakhs, gross profit is 25% of sales. Now therefore gross profit is equal to 25% of 2 lakhs is equal to 50,000, and cost of goods sold is equal to therefore 1,50,000. So now inventory turnover ratio is given cost of goods sold by average stock, which is 5 times given. So 1,50,000 by average stock or average inventory. So therefore average inventory is equal to 30,000. Let opening inventory is x, thus closing inventory or closing stock is equal to x plus 40 as per the condition of the question. So now average stock is equal to opening stock plus closing stock by 2. Now by solving this one, we'll get the x is equal to 28,000. Thus opening stock is equal to 28,000 and closing stock is equal to 4,000 more, that is 32,000. We have next question, that is trade receivable turnover ratio. From the following information, debtors is given, opening debtors is given 28,000, closing debtor that is 2019 and 2018. So previous year is opening and current year is closing. So your debtors is given, opening is 28, closing is 25,000, bills receivable given 7,000 opening and 15,000 closing. So now provision for doubtful debts also opening given 2,800 and 2,500 closing. So total sale is given 1 lakh, sales return is given 1 lakh, so 1,500, and cash sale is given 23,500. So now from here we'll calculate the credit sale is equal to total sale minus sales return minus cash sale, which is equal to 75,000. Average receivable is equal to opening debtors plus opening bills receivable. I put it here BR means bills receivable. Closing debtors plus closing bills receivable divided by 2. Provision should be ignored. I said it in the formula part that if provision for doubtful debts is given, you are not supposed to consider that part. So now just taking opening and closing debtors and bills receivable divided by 2. So we have 37,500, and build a debtors turnover ratio or bills receivable turnover ratio, trade receivable turnover ratio is equal to therefore net credit sale by average receivable, which is equal to 2 times. We have one more question. A firm normally has trade receivable equal to 2-month credit sale. During the coming year, it expects that credit sale will be 7,20,000 spread evenly throughout the year, 12 months. What is the estimated amount of trade receivable at the end of the year? So we have to find the closing trade receivable at the end of the year. So now we'll find debt collection period is equal to it's a one formula that is called debtor velocity. Sometimes it is called debtors velocity. So that is 12 month divided by debtors turnover ratio, and debtors turnover ratio is given, sorry, debt collection period is given 2 month. So 2 is equal to 12 divided by debtors turnover ratio. From here we'll calculate debtors turnover ratio is equal to 6 times. Now trade receivable turnover ratio as formula is given, net credit sale by average trade receivable. So 6 times is equal to 7,20,000 by average trade receivable, and average trade receivable therefore 1,20,000. So now since opening trade receivable is not given in this question, therefore it is assuming that opening and closing trade receivable are equal. So because average will get the same amount, if it is 2, by adding 2 divided by 2, result will be the same. So that's why the closing trade receivable is equal to 1,20,000. From here we will calculate the question number 93. We will calculate trade payables turnover ratio or creditors turnover ratio. Your information given as it is that previous year is given 2018, current year is 2019, and previous year will consider opening and current year will be considered closing. So your opening creditors is given 1,50,000, closing is given 4,50,000, bills payable 50,000 opening and 1,50,000 is closing, and your total purchase given 21 lakhs, purchase return 1 lakhs, and cash purchase is given 4 lakhs. So from here we'll calculate the average payables is equal to opening creditors plus opening bills payable plus closing creditors plus closing bills payable divided by 2, which comes 4 lakhs. Now net credit purchase is equal to total purchase minus purchase return minus credit cash purchase. By solving this one we'll get 16 lakhs. So we have now trade payables turnover ratio is equal to net credit purchase divided by trade payables, which is equal to 4 times. So it is just similar debtors turnover ratio. You just have to just replace the creditors and bills payable in place of debtors and bills receivable. So the average no, okay, over here another question was there. You have to calculate the debt payment, average debt payment period. So average debt payment period is equal to 12 months divided by creditors turnover ratio, that is 4. If you will get it 3 months will be average debt payment period. In an average you have to pay to your creditors. Next one is the profit activity ratio, that is gross profit ratio. So we have gross profit given 25% on cost, and gross profit is given 5 lakhs, and thereafter equity share capital given, then reserve and surplus given, and the long-term debt given. So we have to calculate working capital turnover ratio, that is working capital. I thought it activity, no, it is working capital turnover ratio. So from here we'll calculate. Now gross profit is given 25% on cost. We are assuming that this is cost is equal to x. Cost means here cost of goods sold, you have to remember. Now gross profit is equal to 25 by 100 into cost of goods sold, that is x. So by solving this one we'll get the x value is equal to 20 lakhs, that is cost of goods sold is equal to 20 lakhs. Now net sale is given, we have to calculate it, cost of goods sold plus gross profit, which is equal to 25 lakhs. Now capital employed is equal to share capital plus reserve and surplus plus long term loan, which comes 15 lakhs, and working capital is equal to capital employed minus fixed assets. That is another formula you have to remember, not only that CA minus CL, every time you have to use it. So over here working capital is equal to capital employed minus fixed assets, that is your 15 lakhs minus 10 lakhs is equal to 5 lakhs. So we have working capital turnover ratio, therefore net sale divided by working capital will have 5 times your working capital turnover. Next one is compute gross profit ratio from the following information, that is the activity ratio, and cost of revenue from operation, that is cost of goods sold 5,40,000. Revenue from operation is given 6 lakhs, so you have to calculate it. Gross profit is equal to revenue from operation minus cost of goods sold, which is equal to 6 lakhs 60,000. 6 lakhs minus 5,40,000 is 60,000. Now gross profit ratio very simple, gross profit by net sale into 100, 60,000 by 6 lakhs into 100, 10%, that is your cost of gross profit ratio. Now same way we'll calculate another question. Calculate gross profit ratio from the following information. Cash sale is given 20% of total sale, credit sale given 5 lakhs, purchase given 4 lakhs, excess of closing inventory over opening inventory given 25,000. And now we'll solve it over here. Cash sales is equal to credit sale is equal to 5 lakhs, cash sale is 20% of total sale, so we assume it here total sale is equal to x, therefore cash sale will be 20% of x, and total sale is equal to, we know, cash sale plus credit sale. Now by just putting it total x value, total sale x, cash sale is 20x by 100 plus credit sale 5 lakhs given, so x value by solving it will get it the 5 lakhs. So and cash sale, credit sale is therefore 80% of 5 lakhs, so that is x value, x equal to 5 lakhs into 100 by just solving it this one 100 by 80. So we'll have x value, that is your total sale, is equal to 6 lakhs 25,000 your total sale. Now cost of goods sold is equal to purchase minus excess of closing stock over opening stock, that is cost of goods sold. We can use it this formula, opening stock as net purchase minus closing stock. Since it is given, the change in stock is given over here, closing stock minus opening stock is already given, so we'll use it that one. So you have purchase is given and change in stock is given 25,000, so we have minus it because closing stock is higher, so minus value is there, that's why it is 3,75,000. So gross profit is equal to total sale minus cost of goods sold, so we have 2,50,000, and gross profit ratio therefore GP by net sale into 100, and we have 2,50,000 by 6,25,000 into 100 is equal to 40% your gross. We'll calculate from here operating ratio. Cost of revenue from operation is given, cost of revenue from operation, that is cost of goods sold, is given 3 lakhs, and operating expenses given 1,20,000, revenue from operation given, that is cash sale, is given 5,20,000, sales return given 20,000. So calculate the operating ratio. Now cash sales is given, that's why sales return you have to minus it to get net sale, and we'll get it 5,20,000 minus 20,000 is equal to 5 lakhs, or net sale or revenue from operation. Operating cost is equal to cost of goods sold plus operating expenses, and that value, if we put it, cost of goods sold is given 3 lakhs plus operating expenses 1,20,000, which is equal to 4,20,000. So now operating ratio is equal to operating profit by net sale into 100, which comes 84%. Next question, we'll calculate from here the another question, that is again operating ratio. From the following information, operating cost is given, gross profit ratio is given 25%, operating expense is given, and from here we'll calculate the cost of goods sold is equal to operating cost minus operating expenses, and that comes 6 lakhs, and gross profit is given 25%. So we'll calculate here cost of goods sold is equal to 100% minus 25%, that is 75%. As we know it in the common size analysis, that sales is always 100%. So now sales is equal to COGS plus GP. So COGS therefore 100 minus GP is given 25%. You minus it is where COGS means cost of goods sold is 75%. So now net sale I am assuming over here X. So thus 75% of X is given 6 lakhs, that is your net sale, cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is given 6 lakhs. So by solving this one, we'll get the X, that is the net sale is equal to 8 lakhs. Now operating ratio is equal to operating cost by net sale into 100, that comes 6,80,000 by 8 lakhs into 100. We have revenue from operation. Next question, revenue from operation 9 lakhs, gross profit is 25% on cost, and operating expenses given 45,000. Calculate operating profit ratio. Now over here, important part, you have to remember that gross profit you have to calculate on 125 by 125, because this part is given. Gross profit always calculate on net sale or revenue from operation, but over here is given cost, and the revenue from operation in sales is given 9 lakhs. So that's what we are taking one part, that gross profit is calculated over here, and gross profit rate divided by 100 plus gross profit. That is the one information we have to remember while we are converting into the cost to sales. So over here cost is given and to sales is 9 lakhs. We are comparing, that's why this ratio we have to calculate. Remember the after charging ratio, manager commission after charging commission. That same way we will calculate over here. Okay, now we have operating cost is equal to GP minus operating expenses. Now we'll calculate over here operating profit is equal to 1,35,000 operating profit. Now operating profit is equal to operating profit by net sale into 100. Now we have 1,35,000 into 9 lakhs into 100, that is 15%. Another question, revenue from operation, that is net sale 8,20,000, return is given 10,000, cost of revenue from operation, that is cost of goods sold 5,20,000, operating expenses 2,90,000, interest on debenture 40,500, gain on profit on sales is given on fixed assets is 81,000. Calculate net profit ratio. So net profit we have to calculate from here. Okay, so net gross profit is equal to net sale minus cost of goods sold. We calculate over here 3 lakhs by putting the value, direct value is given. So now net profit is equal to gross profit minus operating expenses minus interest on debenture plus gain on sales of fixed assets. Remember, in class 11 net profit is equal to gross profit minus operating expenses minus non-operating expenses plus non-operating income. So this part we are using over here. Instead of taking name, you can use that part, but you have to identify which one is operating, which one non-operating. So interest on debenture and gain on sales over here, it consider non-operating part. That's why expenses is minus and income is plus. So by solving this one, we'll get net profit is equal to 1,31,500. So now net profit ratio is equal to net profit by net sale into 100, and we have 16.04% as net profit ratio. Now from the following details, net profit after tax is given 6,50,000, rate of income tax is given 50,000, 10% debenture is given of 100 each is given rupees 10 lakhs, fixed assets at cost 22 lakhs 50,000, accumulated depreciation on fixed assets is given 2 lakh 50,000, current assets is given 12 lakhs, current liability given 4 lakhs. So now based on that, net fixed assets is equal to fixed assets at cost minus accumulated depreciation. We did it earlier also, 20 lakhs. Capital employed is equal to net fixed assets plus working capital, that is current assets minus current liability. And by solving this one, we'll get capital employed is equal to 28 lakhs. Now from here we'll calculate in another part is the interest on debenture, that is 10% of 10 lakhs, that is rupees 1 lakhs. So let net profit is equal to x, and profit after tax is given equal to profit after tax minus tax, and tax rate is given 50%. So now tax is 0.5x. So by solving this one, if you put it this one, we'll get the profit after tax, profit before tax is equal to 13 lakhs. So now profit before tax is 13 lakhs, and profit before interest and tax is equal to profit before tax plus interest, which comes 13 lakhs plus 1 lakhs 14 lakhs. So return on investment, therefore PBIT, that is profit before interest and tax divided by capital employed into 100, which is equal to 50%. We solve one more question. Y Limited profit after interest on tax, interest and tax is given 1 lakhs, its current assets is given 4 lakhs, current liability 2 lakhs, fixed assets is given 6 lakhs, and 10% long term debt is given rupees 4 lakhs, rate of tax is given 20%, calculate return on investment of Y Limited. Now let profit before tax is x, given tax rate is equal to 80%, 20%, so obviously profit after tax is equal to 80% of x. So now 80% of x is equal to 1 lakh, so x value is equal to 1,25,000. You solve it, thus profit before tax 1,25,000, and interest on long term debt is equal to 10% of long term debt, that is 40,000, and PBIT, therefore profit before tax plus interest, and 1,25,000 plus 90,000, which is 1,65,000 is your PBIT. Now capital employed is equal to fixed assets plus working capital, that is CA minus CL. Now by solving this one, we'll have 8 lakhs, and ROI therefore PBIT by capital employed into 100, which is 1,65,000 by 8 lakhs into 100, 20.63% approximately your return on investment. So this part your ratio analysis. Now you can practice all other questions. If you have problem, you can call me, you can WhatsApp me any other problem. Ratio analysis. Thank you.